Let's take a look at a preparation for an abdominal exercise. From here, the arms are going to come over the top as Dom lifts up. She's going to reach out through the legs. Good abdominal control here, and then return back again. The legs are supported on the ball. If you keep the legs nice and light, the abdominals have to work just that little bit harder. If you're finding that it's a little strong, then place the weight of the legs onto the ball. As you breathe out, keep reaching the legs away, keep drawing deep. When you return back, just try and find that neutral back position. Just go for one more. Good, curling up, keep reaching past the legs, deepen, try not to crunch into the neck too much, and then return back again. Between 6 to 10 of those, and it's a good preparation to warm up the abdominal muscles. Here we've got an alternate arm and leg reach, another abdominal exercise. We're going to start with hands on the knees, curling up through the upper back, and just keeping the abdominals strong. Arms go above the head, legs lengthen out, and we come back to a lifted position. So the whole time the body is lifted, you're curling up a little bit higher here, and then maybe going back just a little bit here. The legs are supported, but the upper body is not. So you've got a little bit more of a challenge in the upper body, and you're going to support the weight of both arms and legs at the same time. Make sure that when the arms and the legs move away from one another, we don't compromise the back position. Try and maintain your neutral state or a slightly imprinted spine. On completion, just take hold of the knees again and just rest the head back, and you can allow the back to drop into the floor and come back to a nice reset state. Let's get ready to tackle a pelvic roll with a hamstring curl. We start in a lying position to begin with the legs resting on the ball. Let's start off with just a plain pelvic roll up. So I'm going to curl up through the back, moving through each section of the spine as you do that, and then rolling back down from the top of the spine right down to the base. Once you've established that and you feel very efficient and in control of that movement, we're going to add a hamstring curl. So we're curling up through the back. Again, one piece at a time. Just try and articulate well there through the back, Dom. In this position, I'm going to pull the legs in. Good, and then lengthen them out. And again, pull it in and back out. Good, we'll do one more there. Feel the hamstrings, gluteals on. Good, straighten out and then roll down through each section of the back, trying to move through as many parts of the spine as you can. Tackling a roll-up using the core ball helps you to keep your shoulder placement contained. It also loads up the spine a little bit because of the weight of the ball, and it's going to start off like this. I'm going to start on our back, and the arms are above the head, and here you won't, hopefully won't impinge any shoulder positioning because the arms are a little bit higher. I'm going to start with the arms coming over the top, curling up through each section of the back, using the abdominal muscles, and from here opening up the back and also stretching out through the hamstrings. Placing the hands onto the legs will help create a nice C-curve, good parallel position with legs and arms. Keep drawing in again through the tummy muscles, through the abdominals, and then re-articulate back down through the back, trying not to accelerate too quickly, and all the way back down again. Just coming up through the spine, curling through each section, rolling forward and curling back down. You could aim between 3 to 5 of those and just let the ball guide that movement a little bit for you. Pendulum is an exercise that requires long hamstrings and good control over the obliques. George is going to throw that in between the feet. Here we've got a 90-degree angle at the hips, hands are out to the sides to steady yourself. The legs are going to go to one side and the hip will lift up on the opposite side, and then you use your side abdominal muscles to bring the legs back to the center. George is opting to use the head in the opposite direction here, which is a nice way to complement or complete the whole rotation of the spine. There's a good 90-degree angle. Obviously, if the hamstrings are a little tight, that might be a little hard for you. Be careful that we don't overwork the hip flexors in this position. Taking the legs over one more time to the side, allowing the obliques on the opposite side to create the rotation, lengthening out through the back, coming back through center, and then just bend the knees, release the hips, release the back. Here's another fairly advanced exercise using the core ball. We're going to catch the ball with the feet. This is a helicopter type movement. Hands are out to steady the shoulder girdle. We're just turning the legs in front and behind. The legs are doing a kind of simulating a helicopter motion. And we're going to try and keep the ball right in between the feet. You might only get a few there before the ball needs adjusting, and then we're ready to start off again. Yeah, so we get a little bit of a extension, flexion type movement in the hip joint, core stabilization through the trunk and the pelvis. And it's just a nice way to mobilize the hips and stabilize the back and pelvis. We're going to tackle a corkscrew or corkscrew variation using the core ball. Legs will start at about 90 degrees. The legs are going to go over the top first. We'll take them out to the side and go around. So they'll go over the top here, and then the legs will go out to the side and we'll come around. So here we want the abdominal muscles to support the position of the hips, taking the ball with the motion. And we might just reverse it. So there's a slight curl here, there's an oblique responsibility. You're going to make sure that both abs work when the legs move away from you so that the lower back doesn't lift up. There's a lot of movement going on here, a lot of multi-directional movement happening. There's a big responsibility on how you control that through this core. Good. George is doing a great job of changing direction. You want to make sure that there is no abrupt movement patterns and that you're controlling that sense of direction very efficiently. Squats on the ball is a very classic exercise, and we're going to set up Dom here with the legs hip width apart, making sure that the ball's around about near her sacrum. It might be a little bit high, but we'll see how we go. Hands on the hips is a nice way to give feedback about where the hips are in space. Bending the knees to about 90 degrees is great for the biomechanics and the joint health of the knees. We want to work on the gluteal muscles here, not just the obvious quadriceps. Make sure that when you bend that you maintain your 90-degree hip and knee position. Use the gluteals, lengthen up through your spine when you're standing. We'll do one more there, Dom. Making that look easy. Breathing in, exhale, pressing back up. And you can do about 10 to 15 of those and make sure that you're aligning well through the body and through the legs. A variation on squats would be a sumo position, nice wide turned out shape. From here we're going to bend into the knees, and just like in a parallel position, make sure the knees are directly over the toes. Working the inside thighs here will help the strength and integrity of the legs. You don't want to go down too low, although it is very tempting because the range of movement's a little bit freer. Going down too low actually releases a lot of muscles. We're trying to maintain the framework of 90 degrees through the hips, 90 degrees through the knees. Work the inside thighs along with the gluteal muscles. Keep wrapping the thigh bones out every time you bend and keep pulling up through those ever important inner abdominal muscles. Again, we're going for about 10 to 15. Make sure that you're integrating the entire body when you're doing this exercise.
Moving on to a really good glute activation exercise. It's called the standing glute press. And what we have here is a core ball resting probably about the same height as your hip. Then you wrap yourself into a figure 4 position, waist facing forward. There's a tendency to have this ball moving forward with your knee. You want to wrap that around, that Pilates wrap, to really activate the glute, which is going to be pressing out. And then we keep our hips facing forward, about 5 to 10 per leg. And it's really important you control the out movement at the same pace as the inwards movement. That concentric and eccentric movement really creates a lot of burn and bite on the actual leg that's moving, but also provides a real challenge for the stabilising leg. A very, very good isolated glute exercise, which will get lots of benefits for you.
A single leg squat is a great exercise for balance. We're just going to set up the foot on the ball, lightly on the ball, about a 90-degree angle at the hip joint. From this position, once you've got a nice stable position on your supporting leg, we're just going to lift the leg up and slightly bend the supporting leg and use the ball to balance you. Back up again, trying to hold that steady, and then we're back down again. Good. You can imagine how hard this would be without the ball. So the ball is actually aiding that balance a little bit, and it makes it possible just to think about alignment and biomechanics through the leg. So as George stands up, there's knee extension. As he goes down, there's knee flexion, working on the side gluteal muscles to stabilize, inner core strength, back strength. There's a little bit of timing as well as he makes sure that the ball does not shift in space. Once you've done about 6 to 10, hold it and we'll change sides. Good. This is a seated ab twist. We're seated on the ball, which is very challenging for stability. The legs are kind of mediumly opened. If we close them up, it's going to be a little bit harder, but we've decided here to just have them slightly apart. We're going to rotate to the right, so the tubing in this point is slightly off tension. Then we're going to rotate to the left, and this is where the work comes into play. So you're going to rotate right, Dom, and as you exhale, bring it around. It's a bit challenging. She might need to muscle in a little bit more with her legs and with her core, with her trunk, in order to get a little bit more integrity for the arms to work against a stronger, stable base. So this is showing up just to make this is a little bit difficult, right? It looks like an easy exercise, but it's pretty challenging once you sit on the ball and have that double tubing pulling against the door. Let's do a couple more there. Yes, we want to see you working. And rotate right and rotate left. We'll do one more, and inhale, rotate right and rotate left. Good, and then bring it back. Good work. We're going to go for a standing roll-out plank exercise here. It requires a little bit of timing with this ball so it doesn't run away from you. And start up in a very upright position, trying to hold the alignment of the body. Once you've done that, we're going to roll out into a plank position. So I won't be able to hold that position for too long, otherwise the ball's going to run away. So from here, we're going to bend the knees and we're rolling out to a plank position. Back up through the knees, standing straight, catch the hands on the ball, back into your plank, and return back. So a little bit of timing, try and get the body right over the forearms, and back up again. Folding in the knees, hips and ankles, trying to find a nice straight plank state, trying to find a nice upright position. Breathing out, maintaining composure and alignment the entire time. And then back up to your standing.
One of my favourite exercises, this is the incline push-up using the core ball. Just start in this position, have your arms on either side of it and squeeze in, which automatically gets you ready for the exercise. Then you push out into that nice plank position, body's in good flat position, butt's not up, it's nice and down, that neutral spine. You want to keep your elbows in. You don't want them flaring out, you want to keep them in. And this will maintain good technique, good posture, and also really work your triceps and upper body. A really good exercise. Probably looking to get about 5 to 10. And there's a variation on this, which I'll explain when I come down. And that is, you can have your feet elevated on maybe a chair or a bench, which increases the complexity and toughness of this particular exercise.
Let's tackle a pike straight, meaning that we're going to go from a push-up position to a pike position in a nice linear straight alignment. Well, let's hope so anyway. So we're going to start in this position, making sure that once you've placed your foot on the ball that you really try and set up the alignment. Make sure that your shoulder girdle is nice and stable and well placed. Maintain good shoulder stability, good core strength. This does require a lot of arm strength, abdominal strength, and hamstring strength. We're going to pike up and try and get a nice flat back position. Come back down into your push-up position. You do have to negotiate the toes a little bit there. You can either have them toes pointed or flexed. Might give you a little bit more height. And then back down again. Once you've done that about 2 or 3 times, you can also add a little bit of a decline push-up in that position. If you're really daring, you can do the push-up in the pike. But we might just leave that out for today, and then coming back out of that and recovering. Double glutes is named because we're working both gluteal muscles at the same time. We're in this kind of 4-point, let's say upper body supported position in a thoracic extension. We're over the ball, which creates a little bit of length in the lumbar spine. The legs are already turned out. We're getting that Pilates wrap, if you like, in the gluteals. Soles of the feet are pressing together. Objective, try and keep the back and the pelvis nice and stable. And Dominic's going to lift both legs up off the floor and then back down again. So you want this diamond position, or diamond shaped position in the legs, to be lifted up as one unit. The ball's pretty challenging in that it's trying to throw her off balance a little bit. She's got to stabilize through her core trunk and through her shoulder girdle. And I'm pretty sure that she's feeling both gluteals fairly evenly there. She lifts up and back down again. Okay, hold it nice and steady there, Dom. And we're going to go in for another, say, 3. So lift up and control it back down again. And again, come up and back down again. Good, last one, and coming up and back down again and recover. Good. Here we have an exercise called STARFISH. It's a little bit of fun, requires a bit of persistence and perseverance. We start with the hands on the floor, feet on the floor. Your objective is to try and find that central point on your pelvis and abdominal region, and see if you can lift both arms and legs off at the same time and just balance in position. You'll probably only get about maybe 2 or 3 counts to maintain the shape. The tubing is there to help balance you a little bit, although it can throw you off a little bit also. So it kind of is a bittersweet piece of equipment to kind of help that proprioception a little. And you can see George working pretty hard to maintain that.